Welcome back to my channel. As always, I'm Sports Nerd. Today, we're going to be talking about my way too early MLB predictions for 2021. Assuming the season is 162 games long, we're going to be talking about every team's record, the playoffs, and the accolades for both leagues. Let's take it straight to the action. We'll travel to the AL West to talk about the Astros. I think they're going to come up just a tiny bit above 500 because they have the talent. Just they don't have the trash cans to bang on. It's sad. Astros fans are sad because they knew they were cheating. Okay, that's a lie, but whatever. But seriously, first full season without trash cans, they might start off well, and then they're just going to fail because everybody else wasn't cheating. The World Series winner, the Nationals, weren't cheating. And the Dodgers weren't cheating when they beat them. I mean, it's kind of stupid. But going back to my predictions, I think the Astros are going to end up around 86 and 76. Next, we got the Oakland Athletics. Definitely, they've made it to the playoffs for now a long streak. It's been 3 years. I know you might not call it that long, but seeing their talent, it's going to get much longer when they get to the end of next season. So that's why I'm going to say they're going to be well above 500. They're going to win their division going 101 and 61. Why I say this, look at their roster. They have like the most talent of all time. The Texas Rangers, and they've just looked ugly. They looked ugly 2019. They looked ugly this year. The year before that, they were going on a downfall. I mean, the last time they were really even contenders was when Josh Hamilton was in his prime on that team. I mean, no, they're not going to do good. My final guess is going to be they're going to end up just barely missing 100 losses. I think they're going to end up with 99 losses, yeah. They're not going to do good, I promise. Promise very, very much. They're just not going to do good. 99 losses is not good. It's not. 162 games, it's like going 7-9 in the NFL. It's like losing, say, 50 games in the NBA. It's not good. They're not good. Angels, I think they're not going to do great, but at the same time, I think they're not going to do horrible. Like guys like Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon, despite, in my mind, Anthony Rendon being a bit overrated. Sorry, Angels fans. Maybe. But I just don't think anybody else in their lineup is going to really be able to produce that well. Albert Pujols is old. Really, everybody else might go off for like half a season and then fall down. Anthony Rendon and Mike Trout are the only guys that can produce for an entire season. They're the only guys that have proven it as well. So I think with 3 star players, 2 of those star players being superstar players, they're going to end up with a record around 79 wins and 83 losses. Up in the AL West is the Seattle Mariners. What I think about them is that they're not going to do actually as bad as a lot of experts think. I mean, that's because you see them last year. You see them 2 years ago and they suck. But you see them last year, and with their new players, I don't know. Last year, well, technically still this year, they didn't do horrible. And now in 2021, it sparks a thought to your head. Is 162 just going to be too long for him? Or is their franchise on an uprise? I think for now, though, they're just going to keep it low and rise higher. And I think they're going to find themselves at a not horrible 70 wins and 92 losses. Next, we'll head to the NL West. And first, we'll look at the San Francisco Giants. The Giants were easy, but yet hard. They were hard because, well, remember 4 years ago, it was made it to the playoffs, and 3 years ago, in a row, bad. And then, 2020, they were good. So in 2021, are they going to be bad, or are they going to make the playoffs? It's easy because you see their roster. But I went away from the easy. I'm going to say the Giants just barely squeeze into the playoffs. Even the teams like the Dodgers and the Padres in their division. That's because I think one of those teams aren't going to do so hot. Anyway, I think the Giants' record is going to be a total of 87 wins and 75 losses. Up is the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are also a pretty hard team. That's because they were looking to contend last year, well, technically still this year, and they ended up failing miserably. So that puts it pretty hard for me. I still don't think they're going to contend that much this year, though. I think they're going to go last in the division, and they're just going to do horrible. Experts are going to think they can contend when me out here that nobody watches just gets it right. Now, here's what their record's going to be. They're going to have 67 wins and 95 losses. They're just not good. They have the speed, just they don't have the bats. And you need bats to have speed on the base paths. Unless you're going to intentionally walk them every time, which isn't going to happen because you don't got bats. Here, we got one of the 4 teams that are still contending this year. The LA Dodgers. What's up with them is, nothing much. They just have the best roster in the league. Players on their bench is players that any other team could use. Nothing much, nah. They're just like the best team in the league. Okay, maybe not the best team in the league, but still, you get me here. They're crazy good. Like, what are you supposed to do about that? They're gonna get 100 wins. They're probably gonna beat your team. They're probably gonna win the World Series. Like, what can you do about that? Try to beat them, because you're not gonna. You're just not gonna. Let me just say that. So that's why I think the Dodgers are going to have an outrageous record. The Dodgers record is going to be 110 wins and 52 losses. Remember that. The Dodgers are going to be one of the best teams in history. I promise. Dodgers in this video, I thought might have been the second team to break the 100-win barrier. Like, you see their pitching lineup as like a non-expert that's just heard of everybody like I used to be. And then it'd be like Mike Clevenger and Chris Paddock, starters on the same team. This team's going to be crazy. Fernando Tatis on that team too. All these hitters, all these pitchers. Bro, this team's going to be incredible. And you see how they play. Their offense is good, but their pitching is kind of sloppy, actually. So that's why I thought maybe the Padres aren't going to be the second team to break that barrier. And in my mind, they're not. I think what their record is going to be, it was pretty hard, but I'm going to say around 92 wins and 70 losses. I mean, which ain't horrible at all. It's not 100 wins. It's close, but it's not 100 wins. The last team, we got the Colorado Rockies for the last team in the NL West. I think they're actually going to do very good. You got Nolan Arenado and Trevor Story in their primes. You got some young guys and some wise guys. And their coaches are very good as well. So I think with all that put together, the Rockies aren't going to be good enough to beat the Dodgers or the Padres in the divisional race. But they're going to find themselves third. This NL West division is going to be incredible. I got 4 teams going over 500. And one team just going horrible. But, I mean, still, I think the Rockies are going to be good as well. I think the Rockies are going to end up 89 and 73. We find ourselves in the AL Central. First, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Twins. The Twins were the team to watch in 2019. In 2020, they were okay, but not great. And in 2021, I think they're going to continue that streak of downfall. One of the best teams in 2019, okay in 2020, horrible in 2021. Okay, maybe not horrible, but not great. I think they're going to end up not having any production from their good players. Their bad players are just going to stay bad. And I think they're going to end up at exactly 500, 81 and 81. I mean, Twins aren't going to be that good. Next, we're going to go on the Kansas City Royals. I think the Royals are actually going to do quite good and maybe even find themselves in the playoffs. That was the hard part. But just maybe, because they have young players that can hit and field. They got young all-around players, and they've got guys like Soler that in Merrifield that aren't the youngest people anymore, but I mean, can hit the ball deep and can make plays. I mean, they're not like Nick Castellanos, where they can only do one thing. Juan Pierre can only go on one side of the ball to really do anything, unless he had a good day. And I mean, so that's the hard part about the Royals. But I find the Royals going 71 wins, which isn't great, but also isn't horrible. Let's take a look at the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox have not been the greatest, and then they just went off. That's because they got all the young talent they need. They got young guys that can smack everything 550 feet if they wanted to. They could field a ball that went 300 feet behind them. The White Sox have incredible talent, and it's young. So even though last year was literally the first year of that means they still have like 15 more years to go, which is just hard to think. Imagine being like in the division. Imagine being the Indians. You're losing your talent to old people, and now you got a young team creeping on you. But I think the White Sox are actually going to be the second team to break the barrier. I think they're going to go 162. We're going to look at a team that I just mentioned, the Cleveland Indians. They're starting to lose a lot of players to getting a bit older. Carlos Santana is turning into his twilight years. They don't have many players from that 2016 World Series losing team to the Chicago Cubs. But I mean, it's not a great look for them anymore because they're losing players. The players they still have are not as good, and they're not really producing as much anymore. They're not being as productive. And then I think this year might be the year they see their downfall. I don't think they're going to do great. I don't think they're going to be contending for second or even third in their division. I think they're going to end up like fourth. I see them going like 82 and 80. It's not going to be great. Last team in the AL Central going to be the Detroit Tigers. I think they're going to continue their small uprise with young players. It's not great young players, which is going to prevent them from really not making it far in any season for a few more years. Maybe in like 2024 they could be contenders, but right now they're on a slow uprise. I just still don't see them being very good. I see them last in division, and I see them with a bad record. I see them with I'm going to say a 70 and 92. Welcome to the NL Central. Every team except the Pirates are contending for the playoffs. And to get that out the way, let's get the Pirates out the way. Pirates, bad. Why? They're in the same division, and they have to play the Cubs, Cardinals, Brewers, and Reds 18 times. When the best player on your team is Colin Moran. I mean, Colin Moran did have a very good season last year, but still, I mean, no, they're not going to do good. Look at who they're facing. Look at their schedule. Maybe they should get even a semi-easy schedule. I mean, it's not going to work. No, I just see them, obviously last place, going to do bad. Maybe start off the season with a couple wins because they're going to start off easy. But I don't see them doing good. I see them 69 wins, which is not the greatest amount of losses. The amount of losses is a lot. It's 93. No, the Pirates are not going to work. Nope, we're going to be looking at the Milwaukee Brewers. A lot of their players had an off season. They have one of the best hitters in the league in Christian Yelich. He had a bad year. His first 3 hits of the year were all home runs. All the other players had bad years. Keston Hiura is really the only guy I can name that had a pretty good year. Really, the Brewers were just knocked off by the 60-game sprint, like a lot of other teams like the Diamondbacks we already named, that were scheduled to probably contend for the playoffs and then got knocked off by the sprint. I don't see the Brewers doing bad, though. I see them getting some big wins against all 3 divisional rivals, and they're going to beat the Pirates. Don't worry. All the teams are going to beat the Pirates. And I see them finishing at 86 and 76. We're going to look at the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals have all the talent in the world to probably even win the World Series if they wanted to. They got wise guys, still with a lot of pop, like Paul Goldschmidt and Matt Carpenter on the corners of the bases. They got young guys with speed like Colton Wong they lost a bunch of guys over before the 60-game sprint. But now they're going to get more time to know each other, getting the new guys in free agency. And guys like Harrison Bader can bring good stuff off the bench. Another one of those teams that a lot of guys on the bench, a lot of other teams could use in their starting lineup. Like you even have probably 3 other teams in your division that could use guys like Harrison Bader. So, I mean, it's not that big of a thought that Harrison Bader might be gone, but he's also protecting a lot. I think the Cardinals end up pretty nicely. I say, I don't know here. If I were to say, 89 and 73. It's a hard decision right there. Now, we're going to look at the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds got a lot of acquiring before the sprint. They got guys like Moustakas, Castellanos, and they seem to have gotten all their players from other teams in the NL Central. I mean, which doesn't help them that much because when they play the Pirates, Brewers, Cubs, and Cardinals 18 times a year, they know those players. Like, if the Cubs come in, they're like, hit it to Nick, he can't feel it. Or if the Brewers come in, be like, do not throw a good pitch to Moustakas, he can smack the ball 1,000,000 yards. So, I mean, it's not the greatest, but I still definitely see him making the playoffs. 3rd in the division, probably. And I'd say they end up around 87, maybe? 87 wins? It's another hard one. I'm going, 87 and 75. The last team until we go to the AL East, we got the Cubbies of Chicagoland. Sorry, it's so floppy, and I can't get it on my head. Anyway, I mean, the Cubs, they're pretty unpredictable. I mean, 2016, they won the World Series. 2017, they lose in the NLCS. 2018, they lose in the wild card. 2019, they don't make it. 2020, they lose in the wild card. So are they going back up? Are they going to make it to the NLCS? I don't think they have enough talent. But I mean, you never know. I see them winning the division, but what I don't see is them going that far in the playoffs. So that's why the Cubs are pretty unpredictable. I have best record in the division by a single game. Here's their record, 90 and 72. Now here we are in the AL East. Ready for the biggest rivalry of all time? First, we're going to talk about the Yankees. The Yankees, they're the Yankees. Their lineup is maybe the best lineup you'll ever see. It'll only take me 10 years to name every single player on their lineup. And it'll only take me 20 years to get to their worst player, because there is no such thing as a worst player on the Yankees, because they're all like 95 million overalls. Like Glaber, Gary, and then we've got Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, just to name a few. Their lineup is OP. Everything on this team is OP. It's overpowered, okay? It's overpowered. Still, I just don't see them doing that well with the Rays in their division. I have them just short of it. Just short of it. 98 and 64. Look at the other side of the rivalry. Let's talk about the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox are the Red Sox. They're either incredibly good or incredibly bad. This year, I'm not expecting much out of them. They don't have Mookie anymore. They lost him to the Dodgers, as we said before. I mean, it's been kind of ugly. I mean, they have talent. They got guys like Xander Bogaerts, but they can't show the talent on the baseball field. They keep on failing. I mean, maybe not failing, but they're not doing great anymore. Ever since they didn't have Mookie. I mean, and now they're not having Mookie for the rest of his careers. He's signed with the Dodgers. So now I just don't see him doing good. I see them going 500, lower. Let's go 74 and 88. I don't see him doing good. For the Baltimore Orioles, they're probably the hardest one out of all of them, because they'll go up, they'll go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like halfway through the year, they might be riding a 40-40 record, and then they end up like 70 and 90. Like, what are you supposed to do about that? It's hard being a Orioles fan. It's very hard being an Orioles fan, I would guess, because of, I mean, you think every year, oh man, this is our year, we're going to make it to the playoffs. And then, how did we just go from second in our division to last? I mean, it's hard. And I actually see the Orioles kind of staying on track. I see I don't know here. I see let's say 71 and 91. Let's look at the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays are the Rays. They looked, even like 2 years ago, like they weren't too good. And then they added in some new additions. They get Glasnow and they get Choi. They get all those trades. And what do you know? They're winning the division. I got a feeling they're going to do it again this year. If they can keep on pace, what they've been doing, they're going to do pretty good. I think Rays are going to be number 3 on that 100 barrier. You seen the Dodgers do it? We've seen the White Sox do it. Now, take my word for it, you're going to see the Rays go 102 and 60. I promise. It's going to be something around there. They're not going to do bad. Now, let's look at the Blue Jays. I think at the start of the year, Blue Jays aren't going to be too good. At the start of the year, it's their first time back in Toronto in probably half a year. I mean, it's going to be hard because they were just in Buffalo for a long time. So then going back to a place, it'd be like what they were. The Blue Jays just barely even made it to the playoffs. Got swept by the Rays anyway. But now going back, I think for the time that it'd be like how long they were in Buffalo, they're not going to do well. Then those last 100 games, they're probably going to go off, man. I see them being third in the division. I see them being that high. I see them in the playoffs. I think it's not that big of a long shot. I see them 500. I see them 81. I see them 500. Last but not least, before the playoffs and accolades, we got to do the NL East. First, let's talk about the Washington Nationals. This is an interesting story because the Nationals went from World Series champions to being one of the worst teams So now are they going to be World Series champions? Or are they going to be one of the worst teams? I say they're going to be pretty middle of the pack. I'd say they're probably third in their division. But, I mean, you never know. Seeing what's... Ever since they lost Bryce Harper, it's like, you never know. Is it going to be good? Going to be bad? Going to be okay? Going to be horrible? Going to be World Series bound? I mean, you don't know until you know. But I'd say Nationals... 89-73 just seems right. We're going to talk about where Bryce Harper went. We're going to talk about the Phillies. Phillies, they got Bryce Harper. They got a couple of other stars. And the rest of them are productive, but at the same time not productive. So I see the Phillies, Bryce Harper getting mad, Arrieta getting mad, having bad years, the Phillies having a bad year. It's just a chain reaction, one leading to another. And it's not going to end well for Philadelphia. It never will. At least with Bryce Harper and Jake Arrieta on their team. They're two rage bots. Like, unless they do good, they're going to be guaranteed to be cut. Because all they do is get mad. Which is why I see... That's why I see him not doing well. I see him, say, a really bad year. 69? Yes, I said 69. Only 69 wins for a team like the Phillies. Like, no, they're not doing well. Next, let's look into Draftnik Marks Mets. Oh, this is not going to end well. Okay, the Mets, young talent. Pete Alonso, not the greatest fielder out there, but he has the pop to hit, say, 40 home runs. He already proved he has the pop to hit 50 home runs. He hit 53 in his rookie year. That's something nobody else can say. That's something only like 2 or 3 people can say they're in the ballpark of. Plus, you also have guys like J.D. Davis who can play both sides of the ball very well. So that's why that's going to accumulate in a good season, especially with the pitching rotation they have. Only problem is their bullpen. I think is going to blow some games, but still, I see them 91-71. I see them pretty good. Let's look at the Marlins. They're questionable because they were not good in the last 162-game season, but in the 60-game season, they made it to the divisional round. I mean, they got swept by the Braves, but it's questionable. Are they going to do good or are they going to do bad? I think the Marlins are one of those teams that a lot of their players got a help from the 60-game sprint. I mean, but still got to give them lots of props. Lots of claps for doing that well after having to be out for like 3 entire weeks for COVID. Like, it was actually pretty big. And then they come back and beat the Cubs. They were the number 3 seed. I mean, I know I didn't like that, but I mean, still, that's good. But I think the 162-game season is going to slow them down. I still see them going, say, 75 wins. 75, all in for 75. I think it's not horrible. 75 and 87. Now, for the very last team, we got the Atlanta Braves. They're the Atlanta Braves. Hello, Ron Acuna. Hello, Ozzy Albies. Hello, Max Fried. Oh, yeah. Hello, Freddie Freeman. How are you guys doing today? Good? Oh, yeah. Oh, you guys are still contending? Oh, good for you. Oh, man, tell me stories about that. Okay, now let's actually get down to business. The Braves are the Braves. They are very good. And I see them being the fourth and final team to break the barrier. Think about this. 3 of the 4 teams I said to break the barrier are still contending. Actually, all 4 of them. I'd probably say the Braves. 104. And, 104. And who would agree with me on that? 104 and 58. I see that being pretty good. Let's look at the accolades. Just a disclaimer. For the accolades, we're going to be doing Cy Young and MVP. Because we want to get this fast. I don't want it to be a 90-minute video. But we will have in-depth talks about it. For AL Cy Young, it's really hard. Yeah, I'm not even being sarcastic right now. It's pretty hard. Who do you want here? Do you say Garrett Cole's going to come back and have a good year? Do you say some guy for the Rays? Do you say like Blake Snell or Tyler Glasnow of the Rays? Do you see something crazy happen? Like, I don't know, a reliever? Get the Cy Young? It's going to be hard, but what I say, a lot of people are going to hate me for this. I'm going to say Tyler Glasnow, yeah, I will, and here's why. Curveball. Watch his curveball. It curves like no other curveball. He made a guy like Tim Anderson swing like he's playing golf. Literally, like if you're the bat, he's swinging like that. He's going to swing at his feet because of that curveball. It's good. And even though he only throws 2 pitches. I'm going to call it 2 pitches. Curveball, fastball. Maybe a changeup if he's really feeling it. But he only throws that like 1% of the time. It's fast. It's like 98-mile-an-hour fastball. And then curveball is probably the most. Curveball with incredible drop. That's Tyler Glasnow, and that's why he needs to win the AL Cy Young. Now to look at the NL Cy Young Award. NL, a lot of things. If it stays like this year stayed, you're going to have guys like Trevor Bauer or Yu Darvish have good years. Jacob deGrom have a bad year. I just don't see that happening through 162. 360 is not a shocker, but through 162, I don't think it's going to happen again. But maybe. I mean, you just don't know. What I'd say is it's going to come down to the wire between 2 pitchers. I mean, there are still a lot of pitchers right now with what it would be. But I still think it's going to be a lot like this year, and the fact that it's going to come down to 2 pitchers that are incredible at pitching, but only one guy can win the Cy Young. Is it going to be like Jacob deGrom and some guy we're not even thinking of? Is it going to be Darvish and Bauer again? Is deGrom going to come in on Darvish or Bauer? And one of them is going to make it? I mean, I don't know, but I think Cy Young, God. This is hard. I want to say it's inconclusive. But if I were to say it, man, this is like impossible right now. No reason whatsoever. No reasoning at all. I'm just gonna go. I don't even know who to go. I just don't. It's hard. I say like no reasoning. Yeah, I just can't say it. I think it's just going to be inconclusive. I think there's going to be some thing going on in the MLB, maybe. I don't know, but it's going to be hard to do. Like, I'm just going to say inconclusive and watch it go. Maybe we do this again closer to the season. I'll have an idea. But for now, I have no clue. No clue at all. The AL MVP, this is another one of those hard yet easy ones. There are going to be a lot of guys, especially in the AL West, that are going to put up spectacular numbers. Like Arenado, Story, Anderson, Abreu. There are a lot of guys. But it's the guy that can field and could hit. So that's why I think AL MVP is going home to Chicago, Illinois, for a guy named Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson has the pop that he could stick with all the other guys. And Nolan Arenado's already got all his accolades. He can hit and field just as well as Tim Anderson, but Tim Anderson doesn't have as many accolades. I think MLB, for once, might actually feel sorry for a guy. And I think they're going to give the MVP to Tim Anderson instead of Nolan Arenado, because Arenado, he can hit and field just as good as Tim Anderson can, but Arenado has already made it to the All-Star game more than he has. I'm pretty sure Arenado's already won an MVP. He's done all of it. He's done all of it. Like, what can you do? You can make plays out there, and you can get that AL MVP. Arenado's probably going to get NL MVP. If league-wide MVP, that's one's going to get hard. Then, until then, it's just going to be easy. And then, of course, NL MVP is going to be Nolan Arenado. Like I just mentioned, he can field and hit just as well as Tim Anderson. I think he's already got an MVP. He can put up his second. He can do just fine. He can do great. He's that guy. There's always one or two guys in every league that are like, wham, can do everything right. Like in the NFL, there are guys that can be like, they can catch it for 1,000 yards. They can get 1,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards, and they can block. They can even go play defense if they wanted to. Basketball, that might be like a guy that can get under the hoop and score two, or can put up a three and make it, and can play good defense. In hockey, that might be a guy who can shoot but can also defend. Maybe even goalkeep. It's always in those leagues one or two guys that can do everything. In the MLB, the two guys that can do everything, at least for this year, Arenado and Anderson. They're going to be the two MVPs, I promise. I promise. Last but not least, here are the playoffs. My notebook has very much helped me with determining this. But here we go. First off, in the NL, we got to do a playing game between the Rockies and the Nationals. And what I described for both teams, I'm going to pick, let me get my pencil. I pick the Rockies to win the playing game and be the 7th seed in the NL, while the Nats being the 8th. So, in the NL, the first game we play is the Dodgers and the Nationals. Just 2 years ago, very much contending teams. But I have the Dodgers winning very easily. So now, next up, we're going to look at the 4 and 5 matchup between the Padres and the Mets. I have the Padres getting the win on that one. So the Mets are out, which means it will be the Dodgers and the Padres playing. Next up, we got the 3 and 6 matchup between the Cubs and the Cardinals. This is a good matchup. But I'm going to have to say the Cubs are going to choke. As much as I like the Cubs, I think the Cubs are going to choke. Cubs are out, and the Cardinals will play either the Braves or the Rockies. I think it will be surprisingly close. The Rockies will give the Braves a run for their money. But at the end of the day, the Braves are going to win it. So now our first round is out. Now what we got Dodgers versus Padres and Braves versus Cardinals. We'll get to that later. But now here's the AL. We have another playing game. It's going to be the Twins or the Blue Jays. I think in this one, the Blue Jays are going to come in and get an upset. So we have the Blue Jays in the 7th seed while the Twins have to go with the 8th seed. So now you have Rays and Twins. So I definitely think the Rays will get a good hard win in. So now 4 and 5. This is definitely the most interesting matchup. I have the Yankees and the Astros. So I think, once again, the Yankees, Astros, both teams are going to give them the other team run for their money. But I think the Yankees are going to come out on top, not by much, but just by a little bit. So that means the Rays and the Yankees will play. Next up, we have the White Sox and the Indians. Divisional rivals. And I have the White Sox clobbering them. It's not even close. Now we have A's and Blue Jays. A's are going to take it home easy, which gives us the matchup of, Rays and Yankees and A's and White Sox, the top 4 seeds in the AL. So now we go back to the NL for another round. We're down to the last 4 teams. And now, first let's look at the Dodgers and the Padres. Once again, another divisional matchup. This is going to be hard. What I got there, Dodgers, Padres run for their money, but Dodgers. And they play in the championship game either the Braves or the Cardinals. And not by much, but I'm going to have in the NL top 2 seeds playing each other. Braves, Dodgers, big matchup. And now another one. Top 4 teams in the AL. First off, we got Rays and Yankees. This is one that was there this year, and the Rays won. And I think the Yankees are going to want revenge, give the Rays run for their money. The Rays are still going to win. Not by much, but they're still going to win. So you have A's and White Sox. Oh, man, this is going to be good. A's and White Sox. Right in the swing of things. I probably need time to think about this. But I'm going to say White Sox. I'm going to say the A's are going to go out here. So now we have Rays and White Sox, as well as Dodgers and Braves. Now in the NL, you have Dodgers and Braves. Pretty in-depth matchup. It's one that we couldn't see this year thanks to the conferences, the 3 conferences. But now, it's going to be interesting because Dodgers and Braves, we haven't seen that in a long time. Until just now we're seeing it, and I haven't seen it again. I think whoever wins it this time is going to win it next time as well. So basically this is just a prediction. And in the prediction, I'm going to have Dodgers taking the first 2, and then Braves taking the next 2. Dodgers and Braves taking 1 each. And then in the Game 7 matchup, the Dodgers take it. So the Dodgers are going to take it. The Braves are going to just get real mad out there. And then here's the big doozy. We got the Rays and the White Sox. I think the White Sox are going to take the first, and then the Rays are going to respond with 2. And then the White Sox are going to take 2. So the Rays need to take 2 in a row. The Rays get one of them. And then this is the hard one. It's going to be back and forth in Game 7, I think. And then maybe at the very, 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 very end, I think the White Sox are going to walk it off to the World Series. Haven't seen it since the Giants. It's going to be good, though. I say we have the number 1 seed Dodgers versus the number 3 seed White Sox. The Rays, not going to be happy with a loss like that. I'm going to be very mad. They're going to get a bunch of wins in the times that they play them in the regular season in 2022 after stuff like that. But I see Dodgers White Sox in the World Series, and here's what's going to happen. Game 1, Dodgers take it. Game 2, Dodgers take it. Game 3, Dodgers take it. And Game 4, White Sox take it. Because those first 3 games, they're just not braced for a team that good. They've only been ready to face a bunch of teams in the Central, which other than them is just an old division. The 2 Centrals. 2 old divisions other than the White Sox and the Royals. So then they're not ready for some experienced superstars. So they're going to lose the first 3. And then they're going to come out real mad. And they're going to take one. And then they're going to take another one in Game 5. But then in Game 6, sorry White Sox fans, Game 6 the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. So I have the Dodgers winning the World Series 4-2. And I'll say I'm happy to be done with this. Guys, thanks for watching my video. Please leave a like. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. This video took all day in the matters of filming and editing it. And it's just going to take just as long to put on YouTube. It's been a grind all day for this. I really didn't like how I made this decision to make this video. But for you guys, I put it out there. And until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Peace!